Hey everybody, in today's episode of Ask David, I'm going to put in my 2 cents on what cameras are the best for a learner to start with. Hey David, I'm going to be taking my first film photography class in the fall. I've never handled a film camera before. What type of film camera should I get? There's lots and lots of articles about the best beginner camera on the internet. Lots of opinions and videos. Some of them are right, and some of them I don't entirely agree with, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some different specific models that you should look for, some to avoid, and then I'll tell you why, what characteristics unify the ones in each column so that you know my criteria for picking up a camera, not just a specific model. Okay. So here's a couple of lists. These are cameras that represent a good beginner camera. The Pentax K1000 makes most people's lists. The MX, the whole K series, the K2, the KX, and KM are really pretty good starter options. They're manual cameras. Manual is important for learning fundamentals of photography, and they're pretty reliable. They've aged well in general. The older K1000s have aged well, and they're pretty robustly built, so if you bang around, it's not the end of the world. The Canon AT1, AT, and A1 are excellent as well. The A1's a bit more complex, but if you have done photography and you know this is a hobby you're going to stick with, the A1 will give you a lot of room to grow. The F1 and F1N are also pretty good options, but they're expensive, pretty spendy. The A1 really, I think, is the best camera Canon's ever made that I've used. The Nikon FM series, FM, FM2, FM3A, as well as a number of other Nikons, the F series, but those are really spendy high-end cameras again, are really exceptional cameras. They're a good balance of robustness and lightweight. The Olympus OM series, specifically the 1 and the 2, are great cameras to use. Well made, light, good lens selection, readily available. The OM1, you'll either need an adapter for the battery or to have it modified because the voltage is different. And the SRT or the X series cameras from Minolta are really good options as well. The SRTs are really robustly made, readily available, full manual, very simple to use, very reliable. The X series, more modern, a little bit newer, use the same lenses as the SRTs in general. Really good meters and really good performance. Not the XG series, but the X series, like the X370 and X700, are really good beginner cameras. Here are some that I recommend avoiding. The AE1 and the rest of the Canon A series I recommend avoiding. They're often said to be really good starter cameras. The AE1 is a shutter priority camera, so it's really hard to get to learn the fundamentals of photography and how shutter and aperture work together, because the camera is always going to give you the proper aperture if it's available with your lens when you pick a shutter speed. The EOS bodies I recommend against as well. They have too many functions, too many buttons, really confusing to use, especially if you're starting out and have never really handled a film camera before. And also, a lot of them weren't really built to last. I see a lot of these come through with some serious issues. The Pentax ZX series, avoid them all. If there's a Z at the front of the Pentax model number, just leave it be. The MZS, that's a good camera, but the ZXs, they have fallen apart. They're heavily plastic. They're made of plastic. The gears get stripped easily. There was poor quality control in them. I haven't actually held a working ZX camera before. And the Nikon EM F and FG20 are not great beginner cameras. They're too automatic and they're not really all that well built. The FG's a good starter camera, but the FG20 and EM, not great options. These cameras have in common that they are super complex. They have tons of needless bells and whistles, and they also don't really work well for learning how the camera and the photographer and the settings work together to create an image. So here are some of many, many, many good options to look for: manual functionality, quality of construction, easy to read and understand interface. These all have that in common. So these and many others are good selections to start with.